The only people who don't want to disclose the truth are people with something to hide.
Because I actually believe in redistribution, at least at a certain level, to make sure that everybody's got a shot.
Peter Boyles. This is the Peter Boyles Show on Talk Radio 630. KHOW.
The other video of the day, President Barack Obama, then in 1998, saying he believes in redistribution. It's Wednesday morning, September the 19th, 2012. I've not spoken to him. He's on driving to the airport in Los Angeles. 61 will be the high today. Filmmaker Joel Gilbert is with us. Everything that you've said and everything that you've written, that redistribution quote should not come as a shock, should it?
No, not at all. The Marxist ideology of Obama is loud and clear, and most Americans are not familiar with it because you'd have to have been an adult in maybe the late 50s to hear about the Red Scare and Stalinism and Marxism and what all this meant. A lot of people don't understand, but redistribution is part of the Marxist ideology that sees evil straw men holding down, the top 1% are holding down the rest of the country. It is so opposite of the reality of America, American principles, and you can see Obama trying to implement this failed Stalinist Marxist agenda upon America. It's not what he ran on. He ran on this vague concept of change, but change is really a socialist code word for a revolution to end free markets and end capitalism.
You were with us yesterday. We were speaking about what happened after your newspaper ad appeared, and you said, Peter, I got one for you tomorrow morning. We haven't spoken. Here we go. Joel, what is it?
This is our big announcement. It's on the WorldNet Daily, has all the details, and the headline is Media Bypass. Dreams DVD, 1 million to Ohio. We have shipped 1 million DVDs this week across the state of Ohio and another 100,000 across the state of New Hampshire in a publicity effort to get the national media to pay attention to this film. There's no reason. We're number one documentary on DVD. There's no reason I should not be on television every night talking about my findings that Barack Obama's fairy tale story of a Kenyan goat herder, as his father was a big lie. In fact, his father was the Communist Party propagandist and Marxist named Frank Marshall Davis. The man he admits that raised him was actually his biological father. So Obama lied about his entire political career, and now we're seeing it come out in spades in this radical Marxist ideology that is going to cripple America and put us back into the world of Soviet socialism.
When I've gotten so many emails this morning on some other issues, but Peter, it says this one: why has Fox News not did not have him on? Have you been on Fox, Joel?
I have not, and unfortunately, the television shows today are not journalistic shows. They're reality shows based on current events. So MSNBC, Fox, CNN, they have a lot of advertisers. They're making a lot of money. They appeal to their audience. So they will not feature any news in their reality show that might upset any of their advertisers, is the best I can tell you. So that's why we're doing this grassroots effort. The DVD is selling very well, but as a promotional event, we shipped 1 million households in Ohio. Now, remember, there's only 4 million households in the entire state of Ohio. We shipped 1 million and then 100,000 in New Hampshire. So I'm hoping this overwhelming grassroots effort will force them to discuss this film and my findings that Obama's father was not the Kenyan, and he is a radical Marxist. And we're going to send million by million to every state until they cover this story and they're willing to take a close look at Obama's background. I've been to Hawaii twice researching the Kenyan goat herder story that Obama built his political career on, and that's twice as many times as all the mainstream media combined.
I mean, if you targeted Ohio with over 1 million of your CDs of your film and 100,000 to New Hampshire, what's interesting is there's a lot of interesting polling data. For some reason, all drops this morning, and one of them is on newspaper ad revenues. have collapsed to 1950 levels. The other one is this Rasmussen, and I'm kind of a Rasmussen guy. I like his work. But 40% of American adults say the internet the best way to get the news. 37% say TV. Staggering on the bottom, newspapers. Only 7% of us go to print newspapers to read or to get their news. Only 9% say they believe the radio is the best way, which kind of is interesting in itself. But the newspapers, and I think you learned an important lesson, and you taught us all that lesson, is how you were treated by the newspapers.
That's correct. We had the full-page ad on the DVD that was rejected by the USA Today, New York Times, and Washington Post, and they wouldn't take our money, $90,000 USA Today. You'd think they could use the money. You'd think their shareholders would be pretty upset if they found out they wouldn't take money for a commercial product, #1 DVD on Amazon. And we did get it finally, and the New York Post ran the ad. Ironically, on the same day, the Washington Post and USA Today accepted a ad from a known pornographer, Larry Flint, offered $1 million to anybody to essentially commit a crime, which is to access Mitt Romney's tax and bank records that are private. So they took money from a pornographer to put out a contract on the presidential candidate, and they would not take our money to advertise our DVD. This is one reason that we're seeing the demise of print media. Mm-hmm. And honestly, there's no reason to watch those cable current events reality shows either if they're not going to report the truth like you do in talk radio.
What I think is fascinating, and I go to guys like Klein and these other guys who have written bestsellers. The Communist was a bestseller. Certainly The Amateur is a bestseller. What you have on your hands. D'Souza doesn't even get a straight interview anymore either. Why? I mean, it's almost, as I said, it's not the mainstream. It's the corrupt media. Something as hot as your underground, which is really what it is. It's an underground, although above grounds when it's shown in theaters, success. And nobody talks to you.
Well, I'm able to talk to conservative talk radio, which essentially is the real media today. Everything on television, as I said, is a reality show based on current events. They're selling a lot of products. They're selling medicine. They're selling all gold. They're selling anything. And that's what they're interested in. And unfortunately, the profession of journalism has descended to the point where I made a DVD that, based on 2 years of research, any journalist in the country can simply throw the DVD in their laptop, write an article, and win the Pulitzer Prize. But they don't want it. They don't want to share truth and investigate the truth about a presidential candidate or a sitting president. It is very significant if the president's political foundation was in Marxism and if he was indoctrinated by a bitter communist like Frank Marshall Davis, who is actually his biological father as well. That is significant because here we are. The President of the United States is revealing himself as a Marxist ideologue who wants redistribution, who is telling people that rich people don't pay their fair share. Now, anybody can just Google it and see that the higher income folks do pay twice, 3 times, 4 times as much taxes as anybody else. So the president's campaign is based on a lie. It's based on this Marxist nonsense that failed miserably in Europe, and now he wants to impose on this country.
So you believe that Obama arrives literally with a mission. Is that fair? I mean, I've watched your DVD, I don't know, 3 times now, and I finally got to see 2016. You really believe he is, and you and D'Souza have some really interesting crossovers where you kind of come to these interesting same conclusions, all roads leading to Rome. But you said that you believe that Obama has been carrying out a plan. Is that a fair question to ask Joel, to say that to you?
Well, I'd say he's carrying out an ideology. Yeah. He arrived at Occidental, admittedly, as a committed revolutionary Marxist, and to study with the Marxist professors. And his entire life journey, even if you read his own autobiography, his entire life journey is a journey in American socialism, in Marxism, following the Marxist dreams from his real father. His real father, Frank Marshall Davis, was indoctrinated into communism in 1932 in Chicago, became a propagandist for the Communist Party. So that was only 15 years after the Bolshevik Revolution. So Obama's father was trained in the classic Stalinist Marxism, and that's who indoctrinated Obama such that he showed up as a Marxist, and he's following this committed, twisted, flawed ideology that has failed all over the world, somehow thinking that the American free enterprise system will be better off under this Marxist kind of dictatorship with very little democracy and a government control. It just doesn't work. It's a failed ideology, but these ideologues don't recognize that. They stick to the ideology, and unfortunately, I think if Obama is reelected, there'll be nothing left of the United States as we know it.
And that's D'Souza's conclusion, too, where he arrives. You arrive where he arrives.
Well, unfortunately, he buys into the official narrative.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does.
You know, the Kenyan goat herder, and therefore he must be an anti-colonialist. Yeah. Of course, anti-colonialism is a very small part of Marxism. And when you do your research and you see my film, and you just look at Obama, you can see that the Kenyan is not the father. It was a sham marriage, and Obama lied to the public, which is that alone is enough to invalidate his candidacy. That he told everybody over and over he's the son of a goat herder. He's going to bring people together.
Right.
But this was just to hide and obscure this Marxist upbringing.
I'm at the point where, and I'll give you the last comment. I know you're getting on an airplane. I think to understand U.S. foreign policy, particularly vis-a-vis the Muslim Brotherhood, we have to understand who Barack Obama is, and that's hidden. And, you know, as this new, and these guys began in the 60s, and they were called psychohistorians. And there were great ones. Fawn Brodie comes to mind in books like No Man Knows My History about Joseph Smith, that these guys, they were doing Gandhi and Jefferson and others, looking at them and Adolf Hitler was done, John Toland did Hitler. They psychoanalyze them in history. And I'm a big believer in that school of history is pretty important. But what I think is if we understood, and we can't because the bona fides have been suppressed, but if we knew what his writings were about, what his claims have been, what he says he has been, I think we will more than ever understand this support of what's taking place in the Middle East and some other issues as well. Is that acceptable to you, Joel? I mean, you've really done the heavy lifting.
Okay, well, here's the support is based on the following. Marxists and Islamists have one thing in common. They both view American capitalism as an obstacle to taking power and an enemy that must be destroyed. Now, you have a nexus of Islamist and Marxist goals. And Obama went to Cairo when he started his presidency, and he very clearly signaled to the Islamists, I'm with you. I believe in your voice. I will not oppose you. It was a very clear message. And we're seeing this all come to fruition under Obama's presidency.
Now, I have seen, and I have a close friend in Robert Spencer who has pointed it out again and again and again, that these guys backed the Brotherhood, knowing full well who the Brotherhood was, and the Brotherhood is now paying us back. And that had to be that. I mean, if guys like Robert Spencer and idiots like me could understand that, you know damn well that Mrs. Clinton at least had a working knowledge of it, and the president had to know it. And yet now they are here, and this morning they are saying that they want to kill the filmmaker and try him and kill him under Sharia law. And that's the people that we put in there. That would have not come from Mubarak. Mubarak wouldn't have done that. So I watched this stuff, Joel, and that's a cool thing. 1 million of these CDs, DVDs have been mailed to Ohio voters. And it'll be
the state of Ohio, 100,000 New Hampshire, and we're going to keep sending them out until the mainstream reality shows will have me on to talk about it. And let's examine who the president really is and what his ideology really is, and stop wasting time saying that he's a liberal or he's whatever. There's a reality that needs to be told before it's too late.
I'll talk to you soon. Thank you, my friend. Be safe on your trip.
The only people who don't want to disclose the truth are people with something to hide.